acá está en otro país. No mejor, luego, cuanto más veo mejor. Depende, ¿no?
So what we were doing is, well, talking about sort of the lessons that just come in the day at various times when you're listening. We all have a story. Today I just met my friend who I would weld with, who is now working on 40% lung capacity and is not feeling 100%. And so this is a story that's come to me as a lesson, and we have to listen to the data and information and lessons that come in. I have to take heed to that, who I used to entertain things with that I don't entertain those things with anymore, and the lessons from it to keep doing the right thing, to take mind in appreciating the life and energy that we have. So then there's another story my friend tells. He is surfing like in the middle of nowhere, and this guy rolls up in his own car. He's got a wheelchair, he doesn't have use of his legs, and he's out there alone like in the middle of nowhere by himself surfing, like the gusto for life, you know, just you have the muscles that you have, so you use them to live to your fullest extent. He's telling that story, which is, I guess, a lesson for him because he's always on motorbikes. So just the reality of not being able to use your legs. It's amazing. This guy actually broke his leg and didn't feel anything because he has no feeling in his lower half. So he's out there surfing by himself in the middle of nowhere without use of his legs, and then breaks one and doesn't feel it. So my friend Yale found this guy and helped him out. But it's a story for him, just like things that I come in contact lately about the dynamics of men and prostitutes, and also dealing with getting over my cold and my whole bronchial and sinus situation. So we pay attention to those lessons, and then it'll be okay. ¿Es listo de manzanas? Look at, you have so many mangoes coming. I'm gonna get some mangoes. Flowers. Mangoes. Mangoes.
Vea la flor aquella, vaya allá. Vaya allá para que vea.
Sí.
Vea la flor. Ya está.
Oh, and naranjas?
Sí, aquí, por ahí está.
Delicious. Oh, wow.
Vea la flor.
Sí.
Ahí.
Look at the flower.
Sí, pues le dije. Ahí.
Oh. Uh-huh. Who's building that? Somebody's building a little nest. How wonderful. Delicious. Look at all these fruit trees. There's so many. How lucky, right? If you have a piece of property, the first thing you do is put down a whole bunch of seeds and start growing your own food. That's the most reasonable, most logical, most intelligent thing to do. Yet, there's all these older investor types who come and buy swaths of land, cut everything down, kill all the life, and then not replant. So it's really weird. Then they want to rent to gringos a parking lot that they can bring whores to for $60 a night. So I say to him, look, like thinking of a place like this, why don't you just throw down some seeds? You've had this place for 15 years. What are you doing? You got now, whatever, 10 cabinas in a parking lot. When you first bought this place, you were buying a piece of Costa Rica. What the hell are you doing? Like cutting everything down and leaving it barren with chemicals. Yikes. You gotta wonder about some people. So anyway, I'm like even thinking, do I even bother tonight? Like for $12, I've got 4 hours, like last night. Literally, I spent 2 hours listening to a newbie, which is no new story, let me tell you. Because it was the story about how he has children and his wife left him, and now he found, not a prostitute, a 23-year-old girlfriend. Okay, I got that. So I get to listen to the sad story for hours, and then he's like wondering how it is that I live here on $400 a month when he spends that in a few hours every day. Like, would you ever think of sitting in front of a 400-pound person, you being maybe 175, and complaining about your weight? 2 hours sitting there complaining about how fat you are to somebody who's 3 times the size as you. It's kind of like that, but it's invisible. So this guy is complaining about how he spends more money on one item than I make in an entire year. You can't feel, I don't know, sorry for him. It's a totally different thing. So I say, like, look, you know, I hear ya, but I can't really relate. And he says, oh, you just add a couple of zeros. And I'm like, yeah, it's so trivial to you because it can be. I get it. I get it. So here we go. Like, sort of like what can I get you? Can I get you a girl? Can I get you some coke? You need a party? Let me get you a drink. You need a place to stay? I can rent it by the hour. That's a real business you got there. So we got 3 people last night in 4 hours, 3 people the night before in 4 hours, and lots of talking about debauchery. It's really interesting to hear how you're learning that you're not in Kansas anymore. It's really interesting to hear your failures, the same failures that are made by every stupid gringo that thinks he's buying a piece of a paradise that he's so successful and familiar at already because he has so much experience elsewhere and he's a success. So he's a success everywhere he goes, and he already's had a full life of fully understanding everything by the time he gets here, so you can't tell him anything. Yeah, you gotta hear all his stories of how he was taken advantage of. Because he's a newbie, he's gonna meet the parasites first. I can hear about how all the parasites benefited from him. That's why it's always good to make a newbie friend, right? That's the idea. They have a lot of disposable income and they're still thinking about US prices. By the time I end up meeting them, I just get to hear about all those stories of how they were, you know, taken down the road. Wow, this is Mango and it's beautiful. So it's Sunday and we just got here. We just got to Mato Plátano and look at this beautiful river. I just want to jump into it. Yo quiero comida. And then we'll jump into it. Take a look. Ooh, it looks so nice. So I found a good little space. Woo, as long as nothing falls in the water. I found a good little space here on a rock. So I'm no longer working at the bar and I just wanted to tell the story of my last time there. I received some comments from, I'm pretty sure, the Will Troll Gang, because that's what they're best at, and how I am running a brothel or working at a brothel. So you now work as a brothel, madame. Well done, skank. And something to somebody else. Nice language. You should exploit all the incidents someone finds you sexually attractive, because eventually you will find a creep that will choose to marry you for your... So I understand that they would see things in basic ways. And it's funny because these people are also anti-liberals, so they would be for or against working in a brothel. I'm not quite sure. Anyways, it's not my thing. The last week I walked in there, I was greeted at the door and told that there was 2 Canadians that were visiting and somebody just robbed them of $100. They were smashed out of their mind. They had been there for hours and hours, and some guy approached this couple and wanted to borrow $100 to get a room and fuck a prostitute. So he actually gave him the $100. He told his girlfriend and she chased him down into the room, banged down the room door, and asked for the money. He came out, the girl ran out, and he ended up running down the street. This Canadian, drunk Canadian girl with her first night in Jaco ends up running down the street after him, falls, apparently ruins her nail polish, her toenail polish. So this is what she's going on and 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 on about all night. Plus she's a raving feminist. So she's going on about, she works in a small town between Calgary and Vancouver, so she's going on and on about how she's pushing all these men out of government jobs traditionally held by men, and she's putting women in these jobs now, and how proud she is of herself. So I don't have a comment. In any event, I got to hear this story maybe 100 times from this girl. And then the rest of the night, there was only one other gentleman that came in and for 2.5 hours told me his life story about how his wife didn't work out after so many years of raising children, just gave everything to her because he's so generous after 40 years of marriage. He has a 23-year-old girlfriend, so most people will say, hey, good for him, and I say, wow, it surely tells me a lot about you. Yeah, 2.5 hours of all about you. I got a lot of information. He ended up, I did give him my number because he just bought a house, so he was looking for some welding done. So he called me, he says he doesn't really need any work done. He just has so much extra money. I mean, I did hear him brag for 2.5 hours. So much extra money that he wants to pay women to do things that he doesn't need done so that he can spend time with them. And this was supposed to be a respectful way of asking me out. Blatantly telling me he doesn't need my work, he just... Are you okay? Basically, I, was a little short with him, and then he wrote me back saying that I was rude, and I said, well, actually, it was you that was rude first, and he didn't understand why. Then he tried to insult me with these big words about how he would rather to have a saposexual relationship, so I had to laugh at him with that. Anyways, I worked my way through it. I'll probably end up getting more commissioned work from him this way than if I hadn't have been straight with him. And of course, men don't like when you're straight with them. I just spent 3 hours listening to him, and I opened my mouth once to answer a question that he asked 3 times in a row, different ways, and he didn't like the way I answered it because it was straightforward and not so flowery the way he talks to me. I think that he interpreted that, he didn't know what to do with that because a woman should speak more flowery than a man, not the other way around. I'm not too good at that. In any event, we'll see what happens there, but I am no longer at the bar. Oh, okay, so what was it? Then the next night, came in late, drunk as a skunk, high on cocaine with a couple that I think she was a hooker, and then they were just pretending they were a couple on this holiday. In any case, was like, I'm not gonna fuck your wife. I don't want to fuck you. I do want to fuck your wife, but I'm not gonna fuck your wife. Don't worry about it. Yay, don't worry about it. I got my own wife. I'm good. I'm good. She's really attractive though. And yeah, you know what? I'm doing so well for myself. Like, fuck, look at this. I have a brothel. I always wanted to have a brothel. My whole life I wanted to have a brothel. You could get the girl to make your bed and tell her to do it the way you want it to be done. So, hey, look, aren't I great? I have a brothel now. All these drinks, they're all on me, So this is the two people that are in the bar. The 2 people that are in the bar, and all their drinks are free. So basically this is like another night where I am the personal bartender for this guy and a few friends of his for $2 an hour, which I understand that works out really, really well for him, but if he wants to have employees for his business, he has to actually run a business. So it's difficult for me to figure how I should be staying there when my biggest night was $30. Mostly I was making about $8 for the evening, and also getting like horrendously hit on, not even in a nice way, just a really dumb way, and having to smile and accommodate these people. I was finding it a little trying for $8 for the night in the middle of the night. So yeah, that didn't work out very well. I've done a couple of signs, sports signs, because I didn't have the ones that won this year, so I got that done. And now I'm just enjoying a Sunday and still trying to figure out what my next step is now that I'm not at the bar anymore. But look how beautiful, right? This restaurant isn't open here in front of this river, and there's this family that's cooking all kinds of food, and it's making me hungry. I think I'm gonna get into the river, and then we're gonna go after that. Okay, bye. So I think we're gonna head back. Maybe I'll break my camera out and I can charge it, and then we're gonna go back out and go to the beach side of Via Coletas. Via Coletas is a wonderful lookout point, and a lot of tourists go there. It's got an excellent view, but I've never been, I mean, it's really high up, but I've never been down by the beach area, so I think we're gonna go later on today, so. My tongue is orange.